Hey there everyone, today I will be showing you my own build called Flows and Glory, and to start off with I will explain the build. Alright, so the main part of this build is Rimeheart. I'll get to the items later, but the reason I'm using Wave 100 Fist with Fist of Fury is because it has a really high proc rate on Rimeheart and on Frostburn. So it helps proccing the freezes and it helps giving the explosion. Dash is mainly because of mobility. You can avoid a lot of death by dashing away molten, frozen, jailer combos with molten explosions, stuff like that. Also like Mallet Lords, big attacks. Yeah, you probably know that already. Inner Sanctuary is to increase the damage of Palm. It increases it by 30%, so the Palm explosion hits 30% harder in Inner Sanctuary. I have Exploding Palm with Flesh is weak, again 20% more damage, which means Palm hits even harder. I have Cyclone Strike Implosion to gather mobs as close as possible. And then I have my combo, Epiphany Soothing Mist with Guiding Light. Both of them are used to buff the group. This is mainly a group build. It can however work in solo as well. I'm using Exalted Soul passive to increase my maximum spirit and to give me a little bit of regen, so when I'm between groups I will still regain some spirit and be able to cast more palms in the start of the next pack. I'm using one with everything because it's pretty much mandatory in any monk build right now, because Dex is a weak negation stat, so we need that all resist base to protect ourselves. I'm using Beacon of Utah. It's pretty obvious with the Epiphany. Getting lower cooldown on Epiphany and Inner Sanctuary is really helpful. I think my Inner Sanctuary is pretty much permanent right now. I'm running 71% cooldown reduction. Yeah, so I have 100% uptime on Inner Sanctuary. If I stand still, obviously. Alright, let's get a bit into the gear. There's a few different options here, so we can talk about those later. Most important part of the build, Rimeheart. The secondary is 10% chance to shatter and instantly kill enemies. And then I have Frostburn. Your chill effects have up to 39% chance to freeze instead of slow. And what this means is that when I have any attack here, as long as my main hand weapon is cold damage, it will still apply the chill effect, and therefore a chance to freeze, sorry. So I also am using Fist of Az. I've rerolled to cooldown reduction instead of Socket, because it's more important for this build, I think. More uptime on Epiphany means more mobility, which is really useful. Alright, I'm using 2-piece Captain Crimsons. I'm using Strength gear, also a good thing to note. This is pretty close to the optimal Strength, Vitality, Armor, and Movement Speed, and then secondary lightning resisting globes. Globes are important because the amount of healing from health globes gets increased. Like, it increases all the healing you're doing in a huge radius around you. So these legs are kinda weak, but I haven't really been lucky while crafting, so I'm just using these for now. I'm using String of Ears, and I've had like the reduced damage from melee and ranged attacks also works on elite affixes. So for instance, a ranged elite affix would be something like Arcane, and a melee affix would be something like Molten, both of which can really hurt you. So getting reduced damage against those really helps out. Another item you could use here instead would be Blackthorns, Amulet, and Belt. Alright, moving on. My Ring of Royal is kinda weak. I want Strength, Vitality, Resource Cost Reduction and Cooldown Reduction here, and Secondary Resist, which is Lightning in this monk. I got the 8 cooldown reduction though, which is nice, so that's why I'm using it, just to get the cooldown reduction there. Attack speed is okay for this build. I'm using Vulcatus here. Another option would be my Stone of Jordan with the lightning resist, but I think the Vulcatus is a better choice because I can get more cooldown reduction. So it's like it's back and forth. I'm sometimes using the Stone of Jordan instead. It's a decent Stone of Jordan, secondary resist. So I'm big back and forth there. Alright, Bonds. optimal here would be strength, vitality, cooldown reduction, and resource cost reduction, and secondary resist. Right now I only have 2 of those for 5. That's a bit unfortunate. Mind's Eye. The reason Mind's Eye is good is because it's not always that I will have time to build my spirit pool. Mind's Eye can really help out, giving me 15 regen whenever I stand in Inner Sanctuary, and because my cooldown reduction is so high, I'll have Inner Sanctuary almost all the time. On chest I want strength, vitality, elite reduction, lightning resist, globes, and 3 circuits. I got the 14% life instead of elite reduction, which is, it's okay. It's not that bad, but it could definitely still be better. Elite reduction is really, really powerful, especially on top of this reduced damage from ranged and the build as well. The optimal stats would be strength, vitality, all resist, which is always halves, and then percent life. But this is okay for a build. It's fine. And then the secondary, which is really important. Getting that 27 plus would mean a lot compared to 25, for instance. Alright. The amulet. The 2 most important factors here are the resource cost reduction, cooldown reduction, and physical skill damage increase. I've chosen to put on some extra defensives here, vitality, and it always has all resist. Even more optimal would be having secondary lightning resist, but yeah, that's a bit too much to ask for, since it only has 3 randoms, and if you want all those 3 to hit correctly, it's getting kinda hard to hit the right stats. Alright, Nemesis braces. The reason I'm using these is because when I'm in a good group, I don't need the damage from strong arms. However, if you are in a group where you feel like the damage is lagging a bit, definitely use strong arms instead. If I was using strong arms, pull a bit, increase the damage, and then I face a shrine here, I would need to switch and open the shrine. But if you feel like you're quick enough at switching, you can use strong arms permanently. It's your call. All right. Yeah. Let's show the build, how it works. I usually just use Weeping Hollow for showing. There's a lot of white mobs. So the build is really good at killing white mobs, and it's impossible to kill elites. What you want to do when you run past mobs, just palm. Go down Inner Sanctuary, grab them in, palm some more, and start auto-attacking, and it explodes. Like that. Oh, legendary, cool. Yeah, it works pretty good. It's a bit harder to kill elites, but it definitely works. I'll show you a bit more, in case you missed it. The basic idea is get the palms up first, then drag, make sure you don't die, and then start auto-checking. This like a trade-off between how many palms you put in when you start auto-checking. Because the quicker you start auto-checking, the quicker you can start proccing, but if you start auto-checking too early, you may not have enough. This is gonna be a hard pack to kill. Molten Freeze. Oh well, not that hard. The quicker you start auto-attacking, the quicker you can proc, but if you auto-attack too quickly, you won't have enough palms, and you want to hit the right targets. So let's say there's 5 mobs, and you only palm one of them, then you're only gonna explode. There's a 20% chance that the first mob you'll explode will be the one. If you palm 2, there's a 40, and so on and so on. So you gotta make the math there and think what you... Usually I wanna palm at least 30% of the mobs, but it depends also on how many mobs are. The more mobs are, the less you wanna palm, the less percent of the whole pack you wanna palm. Alright. I think I showed that pretty quickly. I like having homing pads in the inventory along with Nemesis braces. Another thing that's important to mention, when you're soloing, strong arms will most likely be the best choice, because increased damage when you pull them in, proc the strong arms, will also affect how hard the palm hits. Alright, this is pretty much it. This was my first YouTube video, so if you have any comments, anything, microphone or other issues, anything I didn't go over good enough, feel free to leave that in the comments down below. And also remember to check out my YouTube channel, my Twitch channel, sorry. Anyways, see you later guys.